This tutorial is going to be walking you through how to create a vignette. A vignette is where you have the edges of your image darkened to really pull your eye or your attention towards your focal point. Before you begin to add your vignette on top of your image, make sure that you're on a copy of your background so that you're able to use that non-destructive editing, and in case you mess up on your image or you make your vignette too dark, you can always go back and change it. If you were to create the vignette on top of your original image, you're not able to change it, and that would be destructive editing. So make sure you have that copy of your background. To create my vignette, I'm going to be using the paintbrush tool, which is found over on the left panel of Photoshop. So it's just this little paintbrush here, and I'm going to be adjusting some of the settings on my paintbrush. First of all, I want the mode to be set instead of at normal. I want it to be set on soft light. The reason why I'm setting my paintbrush to soft light is because when I'm painting my vignette, I don't want it to be super dark and kind of take away attention from my focal point. I want it to be really subtle and be able to ease the viewer's eye in towards the focal point. After I've set my paintbrush to soft light, I'm going to adjust the opacity because again, you don't want to be painting the corners completely dark. You want to ease the viewer's eye in, so I'm going to make my opacity around 50%, maybe a little bit lower. And then the flow, you can also take the flow down a little bit as well. And again, this is going to soften your paintbrush, not make it too harsh and too dark. You can also adjust the size of your paintbrush. In the upper left corner here, you can choose this little drop-down menu and adjust the size. You can test out the size based off of the circle that shows up. But you want to make sure you have a larger paintbrush so that, again, you can create that really subtle effect and you're not just creating really dark lines that are really small and you can see the edges. So using a big paintbrush is going to be your best choice. Also make sure that you're using a soft edged paintbrush, so one that has kind of this feather on the outside of it. Now that I have all of the settings on my paintbrush set up how I want them to be, I'm going to begin painting my vignette onto the background of my image here. So I'm just going to use kind of starting out the corners of my picture, and I'm just going to click and kind of drag my paintbrush across the screen here. So I'm just softly adding a dark shadow around the outside of my image. And again, I don't want it to be too dark or too harsh, so I don't want it to be this dark in the corner here. Obviously that's way too distracting, pulls the attention away from your focal point. So I'm just going to again go around the corners and kind of outside edges of my image once or twice to kind of create that soft effect that's really going to pull the viewer's eye towards the middle. If you go over to your layers panel and you hide the copy that you put the vignette on, you're really able to see the difference from before you add the vignette and after, where you can really start to see that dark or outside corner is taking away some of the unnecessary details and pulling your eye towards the focal point.